being shrouded in secrecy, with rare public glimpses into the firm at congressional hearings like this one on the financial crisis. And that's why it's so unusual for a Goldman Sachs insider to resign from the firm through a blistering New York Times op-ed piece. Greg Smith, an executive director, quit after 12 years, writing, "The environment now is as toxic and destructive as I've ever seen it." He writes the company puts itself first ahead of its clients, saying, "It makes me ill how callously people talk about ripping their clients off. Over the last 12 months, I have seen 5 different managing directors refer to their own clients as Muppets." Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein fired back, sending a memo to a staff of 30,000. "We were disappointed to read the assertions made by this individual that do not reflect our values, our culture, and how the vast majority of people at Goldman Sachs think about the firm." William Cohan, who wrote a book about Goldman Sachs, Money and Power, says for an insider to do this is unheard of, but he's not surprised by the content.
So much of what he's written about was familiar to me, and it's also familiar to their clients who know that Goldman does this. They don't like it, but they know that Goldman tends to put itself before its clients.
Some on Wall Street question Smith's parting words.
And I think that this whole epiphany concept is a little bit hypocritical, because odds are things are not very different now than they were in 2000 or 2001 or whenever he began his career.
The CEO of Goldman Sachs did address the company's image in an interview with CNN's Christine Romans in 2010.
We'll survive only by putting our clients first and the interests of the broader community first. But there certainly is a rise in the suspicion that something is broken here and that we just don't have those old standards. And we have the industry and Goldman Sachs have a lot of work ahead of itself to make the kinds of changes, not just to convince people, but to make the kinds of changes that are warranted from the lessons of the last several years.
The question is, what impact will this have? One client is the state of California. Goldman Sachs helps the state sell bonds. A spokesman for the state treasurer says there are no plans to alter the relationship, but says the state of California is not a Muppet when it comes to bond sales and our relationship with banks. The California Treasurer's Office adds that even though it's a Goldman Sachs client, it hires independent financial advisors to help make decisions. In the bigger picture, though, former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker says there's been a dramatic transformation on Wall Street, with firms focusing on profits and away from clients. Mary Snow, CNN, New York.